Carson Wentz is an Indianapolis Colt. The Eagles have traded Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could possibly become a first-round pick. This almost seemed inevitable ever since Wentz was benched, and there was a lot of trade rumors surrounding him that he was going to go to the Colts. I know Jared, big Colts guy, he's been on this for the past few months saying that Carson Wentz should be an Indianapolis Colt reunited with Frank Reich. Jared, who do you think won this trade, the Colts or the Eagles?
Well, to be honest, I think that it was a mutual thing where they both kind of got the better end for themselves. Carson clearly didn't want to be in Philly no more. And they knew that you could keep him captive there in Philadelphia, but they knew it wasn't going to work out. And it's better to not get that pay on your cap, because on March 3rd, the Eagles were going to have to pay him $10 million just for being on their roster. And for a guy that would have been the backup quarterback, just that extra $10 million bonus for the Eagles would have been detrimental to their cap, especially in a situation like the NFL this offseason where we don't know what the cap's going to be. So that was good for them to get rid of him. I think the Colts won the trade straight up, though, because what they gave up to get a guy that could potentially be a very good NFL quarterback still is just a great deal for them in my eyes. I really like what the Colts are building, and I think that is the one piece that they were missing was quarterback. I think if Carson turns out to be what Carson used to be, it's a great trade for the Colts. Either way, I think it was a good trade for the Colts.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that the Indianapolis Colts easily won this trade. Carson Wentz is still young. He's still not even in what would be his prime. And we also seem to forget he had a really good stretch where he was the only quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards and not have a single receiver catch for over 500 yards in 2019. Last year I know was rough, but also from 2017 to 2019, he threw for 81 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. That's an incredible ratio right there, touchdown interception ratio. And I know 2020 was bad, but Carson Wentz is a talented young quarterback who's actually shown flashes of greatness. In 2017, he was going to win MVP before he got hurt against the Rams, tore his ACL. But now he gets to be with Frank Reich, the guy who made Carson Wentz. But also, looking at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts has not shown me anything that makes me believe that he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback quality in the NFL. The Eagles are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They hired a coach who hasn't done anything. He's never called plays. You wanted a return for Wentz like the Lions got for Matthew Stafford, and you didn't even get close to that. You maybe will get a first-round pick for Carson Wentz, maybe, who was the best quarterback on your team. You gave him up. And you're also taking the biggest cap hit in NFL history because Carson Wentz is not on your roster anymore. So you traded up to draft a quarterback at second overall. You gave him a massive contract, and he has one bad season, then you trade him away for a can of beans. And, makes sense for Philly. I think Philly's in a lot of trouble. They have a lot of cap trouble. They're getting rid of Alshon Jeffrey and Malik Jackson, I believe, and Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson, too.
So they are in a full rebuild mode. I don't know where they're going to go. Do you think they're going to keep Jalen Hurts, or do you think they're going to draft the quarterback at the, I believe they have, number 6 overall pick?
Well, personally, I think they're going to take a quarterback. I don't think it matters who's there at 6, whether that be Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Zach Wilson. Although I don't think Zach will for sure. I don't think Zach's going to fall further than 4. I think Justin could easily fall further than 4. I think Trey Lance could slide. If he gets past the Eagles, I think Trey Lance could slide well into the mid-first round. I think they're for sure going to take a quarterback. Howie Roseman has said that they are a quarterback factory after they drafted Jalen. So I think they're definitely going to take a quarterback. But you got to remember, you mentioned about how the Eagles wanted to get in return, like a return that the Lions got for Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember that the Eagles situation, they had Goff instead of Stafford, pretty much. With that bad contract, the way that Wentz played in the past year was awful.
Yeah.
Goff was not great. Stafford he was good. No one was going to take that contract on for a first-round draft pick, let alone 2. That was the Eagles were trying to get people to somehow convince them to give them more than what Wentz was worth. I think the Colts did a good job of giving them exactly what Wentz was worth right now. So I don't know, but I do for sure think the Eagles are going to take a quarterback. I think it's going to be Justin Fields or Trey Lance, though.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think they absolutely should look at taking a quarterback with that number 6 overall pick. Like I said, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he was flashy. I think he had a solid game against Arizona. And I understand he was in a bad situation, but, you're the guy that gives the team the spark, and you still didn't really play that well. I don't think Jalen Hurts has what it takes. He's a special talent.
Let's be honest, though. That team has a lot more problems than just quarterback.
100%.
Now I would honestly say now they have an inept coach that doesn't know what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And that's too early to say, honestly. But this is a guy that's never called plays at the professional level. And now he's your head coach. I don't know how that's going to work out at all.
Listen, neither do I, man. That was definitely an interesting hire, to say the least. It just seemed like no one wanted to be the coach of the Eagles because of what they had going on there. And I think it's mainly because you have management telling coaches what to do. And I think that's the reason why Doug Peterson was fired, because he was like, dude, let me do my thing. You know what I mean? And they were like, no, we are in control of what we want. We are the management. It was almost like it was like Jerry Krause versus Phil Jackson, obviously not to that extent, but it was management saying, no, we control this. You are just the coach. You have no say in personnel. And I believe that's why the job was extremely undesirable to top candidates such as Robert Saleh or Urban Meyer, or any of these big candidate guys, even Eric Bieniemy for that matter. So the Eagles are in a lot of trouble. But now let's get back to the Colts, though. You look at the AFC South. You have Jacksonville, who's about to get Trevor Lawrence, just got Urban Meyer as their head coach. Tons of cap space to be able to improve that roster. Then you have the Texans, who are not looking that good.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, they are a dumpster fire right now, for sure, to say the least. And then you have the Titans, who are year in, year out a solid team. They have an identity. They run the ball. They're really good in the play action with Ryan Tannehill. Their defense needs a little bit of work. But now you look at the Colts, really good offensive line, really good young running back, really solid defense with Darius Leonard, really good head coach, I believe, in Frank Reich, and a really big question mark at quarterback. Do you think that the Colts are going to win the AFC South?
Yes. I thought that when the season ended, that I thought they were going to win it coming into the year. They didn't. Tennessee was very good. Tennessee is not winning it. They're $3 million over the cap as of right now, and they need help on defense significantly. Like, they have no pass rush, and they're not going to find it being $3 million over the cap. They're going to have to draft somebody, and their history of drafting pass rushers over the last couple of years has not been fantastic. So I think it's the Colts division if they want it. Now, that all depends on how Carson Wentz plays. If we see Carson Wentz from last year in Philly, in Indy, Titans will win it for sure. But I like the Colts' chances. I like the Colts' chances to get out of the AFC this year.
Really?
I'm that high on the Colts.
So you think Carson Wentz has the potential to lead the Indianapolis Colts to a Super Bowl appearance this year?
No. I think Frank Reich has the potential to lead the Colts to a Super Bowl appearance, because they're going to have to ride the coattails of Jonathan Taylor to get there. Mm-hmm. I think they can run it down anybody's throat if they wanted to. And don't be shocked if Jonathan Taylor comes out and leads the NFL in rushing yards next year.
Wow.
I'm going bold today.
Jared is on fire right now, man.
I am a huge fan of the Colts, and there's just something about that Colts team, like, that I just love more than any other team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I like the defensive side of the ball. I think they're young on both sides. I think they have great leadership on both sides, because I think Darius Leonard is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And I think he's one of the best leaders in the NFL. I liked when he came out and said the other day that if you want to come here, you better be willing to put in the work every single day. And I was like, let's go. Like, that stuff makes me excited. I'm a big fan of the Colts. I'm not a Colts fan. Like, I'm a Steelers fan through and through. But We're in a tough spot. We are in a tough spot, but I'll tell you what, that Colts team gets me excited.
I know you were a big Colts guy last year. You actually you thought I was crazy. I was really down on them all year. I just felt as if Phillip Rivers didn't have it. But I was wrong. They did make the playoffs. They are a lot better a team than I thought they were. Running the ball is really important. I think it's really important because it's going to take pressure off of Carson Wentz. I think the biggest problem with Carson Wentz wasn't necessarily that he wasn't talented or that he wasn't good enough. It was that he got in this mental state where I feel as if he felt like he had to be Superman. And you see quarterbacks struggle like that all the time where they feel like they had to be Superman. I believe Baker Mayfield last season in his sophomore season, part of the reason that he struggled was that he felt like he had to make plays, like he had to put the team on his back and carry the team, when in reality, you just gotta sit back, let the O-line block, let your receivers get open, make good reads, and run the ball and just manage the game, be a game manager. And I think Carson Wentz is talented enough to be a game manager and then also make those big plays that really can put a team over the top. I do believe that the Indianapolis Colts will win the AFC South next year. I don't believe that they are going to make it out of the conference and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl like you do, but I do believe they will win the AFC South if Carson Wentz can get out of his own head. If he can get out of his own head and just play relaxed football again. There was rumors that him and Doug Peterson weren't even talking to each other midway through the season this year. So obviously it was a bad and spoiled relationship in Philadelphia. If he can get back to that calm state of mind where he's just releasing the ball, playing smooth, fluid, efficient football, then the Colts are going to be a really, really dangerous and great team. But if he doesn't do that, it's going to be a disaster, sadly.
Yep. And I think one more thing about the Colts.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a decision at wide receiver. Because right now their depth is not fantastic, but I think they have a very underrated wide receiver in Zach Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Pascal is, I think, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL because he gets no respect from anybody. He gets no mention anywhere, but he's super talented. Michael Pittman's was a rookie last year, and he showed flashes toward the end of the year, which you want to see. T.Y. is set to be a free agent. So they're either going to have to bring T.Y. back or let him walk. I don't know what T.Y. is worth to them, but T.Y. is still I would say, still a top 15 wide receiver in this league when fully healthy. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to have to bring in somebody else, maybe like Marvin Jones Jr., or maybe take a flyer on John Ross. I think he's a free agent this year, just to try to bring somebody in to try to take the top off.
Yeah, just kind of get some speed in there.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying with that, but looking at T.Y.'s number this year, he is not looking very good. He's looking like he's aging a lot. He's 31 years old.
He was injured for a lot of the year.
He was.
But if you go back and watch the film, the defense still respects him. They kind of cheat the safety over to his side almost every single time, which is crazy, even at his age.
Well, yeah. Well, because he was the number one wide receiver on that team still, no doubt about it. He really was. But it's just he has, very lackluster performances lately. I think he's aging. I think they could possibly look for wide receivers in the draft. But like you said, I think Zach Pascal, if he gets enough playing time and enough targets, I do think he is somebody that could potentially have a breakout season next year for fantasy players out there, fantasy football players out there. We'll get into that later. We're not even close to fantasy football season. But I do agree with you. Zach Pascal is extremely underrated. Michael Pittman showed really good signs his rookie season. T.Y. Hilton's aging. If they could bring him back, though, he'd be a good veteran to have in there. You could even put him in the slot sometimes if you want. You could have him out wide. I think they definitely do have good weapons there in Indianapolis. I think they will win the AFC South. Now, moving on, though, to another AFC South team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.